we got some feedback from students that they weren't feeling as involved in the farm as they would like to. I mean, I know it's a big problem sometimes with student organic farms when they have to be run by staff people. For instance, my supervisor is a full-time staff person, and it was originally a student initiative. That's sort of part of our history. It started in 2004 as a student initiative. They went to SISA, which is the kind of funding body of our student farm, Minnesota Institute for Sustainable Agriculture. They went to them and said, why isn't there a place that we can grow on campus? So they kind of helped those students start it up and started very student-run, student-managed. They had this mission statement that said that students were going to run it and take care of it. They wanted to be a sustainable farm with a focus on outreach and education and research. And in recent years, since they've had this full-time staff person, it's been a little less student-run, and students have wanted to have a bigger part in it. So we started having these meetings where we decided to compose a new mission statement and new guiding principles. And that just happened in the last month or so. So our new mission statement is up here. Cornercopia is an organic, sustainable farm that provides students hands-on, whole farm learning opportunities. So that means kind of throughout the year, the opportunity to be a part of the business planning and financial aspects, things like that. Food, a place for community building, multidisciplinary education, research, and outreach. So that's that. And a little bit more about our history. Like I said, we started back in 2004. They had a test plot of half an acre, I believe it was, on kind of a busy intersection on campus, and moved 2 years ago to the current location, which is more in campus, and we're now on 2.3 acres. And soon after they started the farm, something started called the farm class. It's like student organic farm planning, or organic farm planning, growing, and marketing. So those students were typically the ones who kind of planned everything out, helped with crop plans and everything like that, started the seeds in the greenhouse and planted everything and got everything going for the spring. And then in the summer, there are interns and student research projects that happen, and those people get paid. And then in the fall, there's always been interns from a program called HECUA, which is kind of a interdisciplinary program in the Twin Cities that matches people out to different organizations with a focus in environmental sustainability. And those students would come help, one or two people usually, can help finish up the season along with service learning students. So that's students at the university who have to get volunteer hours for certain classes. And now we actually have service learning students in the spring as well as the fall. And so that's kind of gotten students more involved in that way since the farm class has changed a little bit as well and kind of fallen by the wayside. We have a new professor this year, and we're doing a little less with the managing aspects. And then we have a lot of community involvement as well, which is kind of what my job is all about, which is new actually, and that's just doing community education workshops, doing youth outreach, like going out into schools and talking to kids about where food comes from and stuff like that, and just getting people on the farm throughout the year. So yeah, like I said, we have 2.3 acres. We're organically certified. We have chickens for the first time last summer, and this summer we'll probably have chickens again, as well as rabbits. And then we have the full-time staff that I talked about, and the paid interns during the summer, and various volunteers. And the places we sell are a couple of farmers markets on campus, and a place called Campus Club, which is this odd, exclusive dining establishment. It's kind of country club-esque. You have to be a member in order to go. But they pay very well for our organic produce, and we get to go as people who work on the farm, so students get to have access to the food. So, our season extension methods, we have high tunnels. We grow microgreens and pea shoots. Does everyone know what microgreens are? I'll go into that more later anyway. And then we have, we're lucky to have access to the greenhouse on campus. And we use some different methods there, like soil blocks, so that we can minimize our use of plastic. And we've been using soilless pads to grow microgreens this year. And then we have we haven't been really growing things for our farm in these, but there are a lot of ways you can grow things and start seeds inside, very low tech in the winter. And so that's kind of been part of what I've been doing, spreading how to grow microgreens inside, pea shoots, start seedlings on your own, bringing that to the wider community and to students. So maybe that'll be useful for people who have student organic farms where you don't have access to a greenhouse. I've always thought that we should do that, but I wasn't able to get that through, so maybe some of you will. And then some of our future things that we want to do are raised beds and using more vertical space in the greenhouse and stuff like that. So, high tunnels, just to go through what it is, really basically, a non-permanent structure similar to a greenhouse, no electricity, no heating. There's a single layer of greenhouse plastic. You leave it on year-round, the sides roll up. And of course the benefits are that it can moderate colder temperatures, so you can plant things that extend farther into the fall and farther into the spring. And this year we're actually...
hear what you're saying right now with this.
Oh. Okay. Maybe you can know it. Can everyone hear me otherwise? Okay. Yeah, no problem. So obviously the benefits of a high tunnel is that you're going to be able to have crops farther into the fall and farther into the spring. So we were able to harvest lettuce and spinach into November and December last year, which was great. And we're going to be planting, I believe, next week in our high tunnels to get things started in the spring. So that's pretty good. And you can avoid certain pests, like rabbits are usually not going to come into the high tunnel. That being said, we did have a rabbit come in once during the fall and got stuck under the plastic, which was a little unfortunate. But yeah, you're going to be able to avoid some things like that. So yeah, on Cornercopia we have a few high tunnels. A lot of what we do kind of originates from student projects because a lot of things are able to be funded that way. There's a thing at the university called UROPS, which is undergraduate research opportunities. And that way students are able to get funding for doing research projects on the farm, and they can work with us on the farm. Everyone kind of helps them out with their project, and they kind of help with regular duties at the farm. So through a student project, we were able to get a high tunnel in 2008 for raspberries, and since then have kept that going. And that high tunnel was actually moved to our main field. The raspberries are a little bit removed from the rest of the farm, and we just constructed our new high tunnel. You can see the picture on the top right there was taken in the fall when they put up the frame for the new high tunnel, and those other two pictures are from just last week when we put up the plastic. So it's pretty exciting high tunnel for us. And so I'll go into the methods we use in our greenhouse. That's just a picture of our setup. So we use soil blocks. We use what you normally see is the cells, trays, and pots, and like I said, we use the soilless pads to grow microgreens, and we just started doing that this year. So soil blocks are a method that we've used to reuse plastic. It also helps with transplanting because all you have to do is take this little block, put it right in the ground, and it's actually faster than doing it where you have to take it out of the plastic. So we got our soil block makers, which you can see a picture of those in the top left corner from Johnny's seeds. And we have 2-inch blocks and 1 3/8 blocks, and those are most normal ones. There's also some really tiny ones. And you can see, I took that picture the other day, those are some service learning students making the soil blocks for the class. It's pretty simple. You have to get the soil really wet, probably like the consistency of fudge cake batter. You can imagine that, or brownies. And so that way it really binds well together when you put the block down into it, and it stays together throughout when the seedling is growing. And there's a picture of some finished ones there. So something you need to remember while doing soil blocks, which I realized this week, is you need to have holes in the bottom of your tray, or what you see there will happen. And that's not good. When you put it in the greenhouse, it continually waters it. You need to have proper drainage. So proper drainage, very important if you're going to do soil blocks, or really if you're going to grow anything inside where you're continually watering it, because it kind of mimics the soil's ability to drain itself. So yeah, people said they know what microgreens are for the most part. Just the first true leaves of a seedling, that's up there too. So we grow those during the winter. It can be a number of any crops: amaranth, arugula, cabbage, kale, more nutritious than a lot of even full-grown crops, is what I've heard. And all those have these different attributes, depending on what flavor you want. And then pea shoots are just the first part of a pea plant. I've also heard of people doing sunflower shoots. And that's just a picture of our operation last year. And our soilless pads, they're from Sure to Grow, and they were a new experiment this year. I think they actually did less well than the microgreens grown in soil, but there are other benefits. It's a little easier to harvest, and you don't need to use soil. If you have a problem with getting a hold of soil, then you don't need to do that. You have these pads. But they are a little more expensive, and we didn't get the best results from them. I'm not exactly sure why that was. So, like I said before, I do a lot of some workshops, community education workshops with people, teaching them how to grow these things inside during the winter. And I tried it out for the first time this year, having my own little microgreen operation, and it worked really well. It's kind of an experimental process, but I love being able to share how that worked. So there are a lot of things you can grow without a greenhouse inside: microgreens, shoots, also herbs, and the seedlings that you're going to want to transplant. So I'm just going to go through what containers you might need, the soil, seeds, putting a little plastic covering over it to simulate a greenhouse, and what you should do for watering and lighting. So lots of different kind of containers. I talked to a friend who was actually growing microgreens in a frisbee, which I thought was really cool. And I've also heard of people digging egg cartons and like using an actual egg. Of course, when you do an egg, you want to make sure, and if you're transplanting, you want to make sure to take the egg out because the roots can't go through that. But anything else, yeah, take out containers, yogurt containers, just punch holes on the bottom. It's a really cheap way. I mean, you don't have to buy anything. You're actually eliminating waste, so that's pretty cool. And of course, there are all these different kinds of trays. You can get the celled ones for doing seedlings. You can use these little shallow ones for doing microgreens, whatever you want to do. And some cool other creative containers. I saw one, I looked one up with like soda cans and putting newspaper around it in order to grow seedlings or herbs. So for soil, you really, what I've heard is that you don't want to use ground soil for growing inside, because there are certain organisms that interact with the outside that though that particular environment isn't going to be the case inside. So you want to get kind of pure potting soil or something like that from hardware stores, nurseries, there are organic soil companies. And the ideal ratios you want to have are 45% minerals and 5% organic matter, like compost or something, and 25% air, 25% water. So making sure to have it be wet when you're planting is always good. And then seeds, we get a lot of our stuff from Johnny's, Seed Savers, Seeds of Change, other organic seed companies. And of course you can get little ones at hardware stores and nurseries. In Minneapolis, there's a really cool organization called Gardening Matters, and they kind of use the method of bulk ordering to get smaller amounts to individuals and to small community gardens, which is really cool. So I don't know where you guys are all from, but perhaps there are organizations like that that can help you out getting smaller amounts of seed for less money than going to a hardware store or nursery or something. Once again, make sure you have proper drainage. And the best methods I've heard from microgreens are that you want to have a really fine mist watering can, or even a spray bottle will work, or do bottom watering. So that picture there was my system in my bedroom. And I just had a tray of microgreens, and that's a baking tray under it, and I would fill it with water for like 45 minutes to an hour every couple of days. Just make sure the soil stays wet. And it's not an exact science, but making sure that it's properly watered and not drowning. Yeah, so people say that you should put tray covers on if you're growing inside. You don't really need tray covers if you have saran wrap, which is what I used. And I also found that I didn't really need it all of the time. Like if in the picture, the left bottom corner, that's some of my starts for those are pea shoots. And I just use forks to like hold up this saran wrap. But even once it germinates, you don't really need it. I don't know. It seemed to me that the inside kept it warm enough, so that worked out fine for me. But once again, it's an experimental process. Lighting is very important. These are my first pea shoots that did terribly, as you can see. They're just really long and spindly because they're going towards the light that they can't find. It was in the middle of winter. So you really need to have artificial lighting unless you're in like a really warm place where you can put it by the window. I've heard that now, getting into April and May, you can get away with that. But I think they are going to grow a lot slower, and there are some really great lighting methods you can use that aren't very expensive. So what I would recommend is the cool white fluorescent light bulb. You can get that at any hardware store, and you want to get the highest wattage possible. They're like $3, or if you have more, you can get those long shop lights and hang them from the ceiling just a few inches from your plants, and that'll give them the light that they need. And then a lot of people say full spectrum fluorescent light bulb or a metal halide light bulb. That's if you want to get like really high up there. But from what I've heard, it's not entirely necessary. People differ on anything, but there you go. And that's my setup on the left. Again, same picture. Just having it a few inches in there. And the long fixture setup. And just harvesting and using them. Microbeans and pea shoots, it's just one single harvest. You cut them off, and they don't grow anymore. You have to start them over with new seeds. And you can use them with whatever, a sandwich, salad, herbs. When you grow herbs, you can just break off a piece of basil if you need it, or whatever. And seedlings, just make sure the soil is wet before you transplant. I've always been told water them before you bring them out to the field. So the only materials you need are a container, which you could use a creative one if you wanted. Soil, seeds, some kind of plastic covering if you want, and some kind of watering method, and lights, very important. So this is another one of the methods that we are going to be using in just a week. Like I said, all of the stuff happens at our farm due to student research projects. So one student just got funded to do this project with mechanized crops, and he's going to be building some raised beds in about a week, which is really exciting, and plant onions and broccoli in there. So he can do that because the soil is going to be warmer since it's not right in the ground, which is great. And then I have these pictures of just, those are my raised beds in my house. On the left, that's my roommate in the soil when we first made it last fall. And I was able to grow those in there, and that worked really well, even through late fall. And then on the right there, if you can see, I planted some garlic in the one to the right. I added one, and that's growing up now. So it's really exciting. Raised beds are a good way to extend your season too, because the soil temperature gets a little high. And then this is my thing that I really want to do with the farm, but it hasn't happened yet. Is get some more vertical space usage, because we have 2 high tunnels, but we're not really using the vertical space in them yet. So that's something I'm hoping to do. Get something like these pictures here. You're going to increase the space availability and just be able to grow more throughout the season. So, yeah. Any questions? Yeah.
So you said the microgreens and the pea shoots are single harvest. Do you
Yeah.
know any type that would be if you just keep cutting and then bring them back?
I haven't heard of any. I've always heard that they're purely single harvest.
Alright, so
Yeah.
you just need more seeds.
Just need more seeds. Another note about getting seeds for microgreens and pea shoots. From what I've heard, it's best actually to get seeds that are specifically for that, even though it can be a number of plants. Like you could just get kale seeds. There are certain, like Johnny's, for instance, sells a bunch of different seeds, like broccoli for microgreens, or like spicy micro mix, and that'll just be, it'll produce better at the smaller stages and give you like a really short stem so that you get more leaves and stuff like that. Yeah. And you want to plant them really densely because they don't need room to grow, and then you can get the most out of your space. Yeah.
How much does one of your high tunnels cost?
I think it was around $3,000. Yeah.
Were you in an organization like this at the university or college you went to, or like how did you get involved in this?
I wasn't. Sort of when I was leaving McAllister last year, things were starting to pop up, like they now have chickens in the Eagle House and stuff like that, which is really cool. But I wasn't really involved at McAllister so much. I got into it when I interesting. And then I came back and worked on a farm in Minnesota last summer and got into it that way. Yeah, so even if you don't have this kind of establishment at your college, it's pretty easy to get into it. I contacted a farmer, was able to do that, and got involved with some nonprofits in the Twin Cities, and then got hooked up with the farm here. Yeah.
Can you speak much about community engagement? And because you only seem to talk about the students in the school.
Sure, yeah. Go into a little bit more of that. So I do some community education, sort of through the formal system. Community education, which is through the public school system, holding workshops on how to build a compost bin, stuff like that, so people pay and they get to come. We're going to be doing one soon on starting seeds inside, and like why you should, or just like basic tips for vegetable gardening for the larger community. So there's that, and there's also going into schools. I've been partnering with some like elementary and middle schools to do some programs there, and I go to schools and give kids really basic lessons on like where food comes from, or like how pollination works and stuff like that. We just started last week an after-school program at a middle school focused on cooking and gardening, and hopefully going to be building a garden at that middle school. So it's great that through the farm we've kind of been able to reach out as well. And during the summer we're going to be holding some classes, like once a week, 2-hour workshop classes where people can come and learn about the different things that we're doing on the farm and kind of do a practical workshop. Like for instance, the guy is going to be doing chickens, is going to lead one on how to have chickens in your backyard, stuff like that. And we already kind of do some of that stuff. My supervisor teaches some classes through a permaculture organization in the Twin Cities, and a lot of that is on the farm and using our facilities in the greenhouse. But in addition to the kind of formal community education, I also work with a group called EXCO, which is Experimental Community Education in the Twin Cities, and that's a great program where anyone can teach a class and anyone can take a class, and it's all free, and that's kind of bringing more accessibility to that information, which is nice.
So then is the Green Courts organization like your main medium for that community outreach, or then
Yeah.
just doing it freelancing?
Well, so pretty much, so I work full time, and I'm the Green Corps member at SISA, or at the farm. And then Expo is kind of something I do on the side, but we did lead some workshops focused on like food justice and conversations around access, and also taught people how to grow these microgreens. We had hands-on workshops where people actually got to plant them and take them home. So that was cool. But actually, yeah, at the farm, they've had an outreach coordinator every summer for the last few summers at least, partnering with a high school, and kind of an alternative high school that has classes in the summer. And so they were able to go to that high school a couple times a week and bring the kids out to the farm once or twice a week to do some hands-on lessons there. But they were never able to do it year-round, so they applied for this Green Corps position, and that's kind of my purpose, is to be able to provide that year-round and make different connections and partnerships and things like that. Yeah.
Have you thought about like using green wall technology in your greenhouses, like to create vertical space? Have you seen like
Oh yeah, like
building
using
walls?
pallets.
So I'm like doing research on that to like use those walls to produce like food in urban environments. But I mean, I think it's something that you could use in high tunnel too.
Totally.
I'm trying to like make systems that are like affordable for people.
Yeah.
Because they're like $100 a square foot if you buy them from companies, but
Yeah.
you can make them really easily.
Yeah, I have heard of that, and that would be really cool. I don't know, maybe other people who are involved in like their own student gardens and farms can speak to this, but I know that through the university it's kind of hard to do things sometimes. I'll have an idea, but I can't necessarily move it forward.
Right.
For instance, with the vertical space, I'm like, this would be really cool, but then somebody has to approve it, some abstract person. And
No, like everything you do has to be approved.
Well, so that's kind of how the student projects give us a lot of freedom. Like last year we did chickens without a student project, and it was kind of a disaster, and I guess a lot of the chickens had some problems with predators, so that didn't work out too well. We kind of couldn't justify doing it again unless a student was doing it. So now that a student is actually doing like an economic feasibility study of raising backyard chickens and kind of having these comparisons, and it's for research and for generating information, we're able to do it.
So you like pay a green fee at my school? It's like $3 a student.
Yeah.
We have like 30,000 students, so it's
Yeah.
like a lot of money.
Cool, yeah.
So they provide money through that fee for like student grants. So it's kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or like students can write a grant for a project that's sustainable and then it gets funded through that.
That's awesome.
That's why I'm like already hiring someone.
Yeah. That's a great idea though, the
I'm hoping for
green walls, yeah. Yeah,
So it sounds like the position is quite similar to the food court.
yeah, it actually is.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
do you do any collaboration with any food court workers in your area or?
Well, there's actually, there's actually no food court in Minnesota, so we can't. And I've heard that the reason for that is that Minnesota already has a pretty good farm-to-school network and movement, which, from what I've found, it does. Like some of the schools I go to already have farm-to-school, like they serve local food in their cafeterias and stuff like that. So we're not able to partner with Food Corps, but there are a lot of other organizations, and pretty much the way that I've been connected to these schools is a lot of times just through networking. Like there was a girl who worked on the farm as a student and now works for an organization called Community Design Center, which does like sustainable gardening projects with kids. And she was able to connect me with this middle school that we're doing this garden at. So it is helpful to have that network. Yeah.
I also have one little really specific question.
Yeah.
about greens.
Sure.
We actually tried this in our greenhouse this winter at Luther College.
Yeah.
We did not have success very much at all.
Really?
And I'm just curious about your watering techniques. We had like mold issues.
Mm-hmm.
We water with a mist spray like every day. Would you recommend that, or how did you control that issue?
Yeah, well, in our greenhouses, we have the mist spray as well. And as far as I know, it does water every day there. Although what I found when I was doing the smaller operation at home and the one that I was kind of spreading around, I didn't water every day at all. I probably watered every 3 days maybe. And I did have some mold issues right at the beginning when I was planting and covering it with plastic and leaving the plastic on there for a while. I did get mold, and when I didn't do that, when I had less moisture, I didn't have mold. So, yeah, I would, from all of my experience, I would say that watering every few days is probably a better way to go. Yeah.
With the system you described, like Candace, did you water from the pour water on top, or did you put water in the baking pan that you had under?
In the baking pan. Yeah. So you have the tray with your plants in it, and you can either take a cup and pour the water in the baking pan and leave it, or you can take off the tray, go fill up the tray, and bring it back. Either way, and then empty it after an hour or so. Yeah.
You said you sell a farmer's market on campus. Is there a lot of vendors at that, and is there a lot of student
Yeah, student involvement in the farm or buying the produce.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah, there are about 8 vendors, something like that, 8 to 10 vendors. So, and it starts in July, it goes to October. So, yeah, it starts during the summer when a lot of students aren't there. I think faculty and staff tend to buy a lot from it, as well as just people in the community. But students who are around definitely benefit from it too, especially during the fall. So when we have the one farmer's market, then we also have a vegetable stand outside. At the U of M, there's this meat store and a dairy store in the same building, and that's local meat and dairy that's processed on campus. So people know about that. It's been there for a while. It's open every Wednesday afternoon, so they go there and we just set up a vegetable stand at the same time so that people want to buy our vegetables too. And sometimes it's people will be going to these store and they're like, oh, we didn't know that there was a farm on campus. Cool. And so
CSA for the faculty or like interest house living?
That's something I asked my supervisor when I came into the job, and she said that she kind of hadn't ever considered it just because she didn't want to promise something that they couldn't necessarily deliver. I think that one thing they've done is at the farmer's market, they'll have people, kind of like a farmer's market CSA, so people will pay a certain amount up front and then they can choose when they go to the farmer's market what they want, but it's not like they're getting something every week. Yeah.
I've heard that the high tunnels accelerate growth. I've never heard them as necessarily extending the season since they're not heated. So I'm wondering, and yeah, if you can touch on that, like, does it create higher temperatures for a longer part of the day, or does it? I mean, you said you're starting to plant next week. Is that in raised beds or in the ground under the high tunnel, or?
No, in the high tunnel it's not a raised bed, it's just there. It has to be tilled. But yeah, everything that I've ever heard is that it does extend the season. It'll be like a few degrees warmer there, and you can feel it too. Like when you're outside and you go into the high tunnel, it's much warmer in there. So.
And on either side, it has plastic all the way down.
Yep. Maybe we can go back to it.
I think part of that is the solar energy coming in heats the soil,
right.
And the soil acts as a storage unit for that heat through the night. Even though it's not insulated at all, the soil really holds that heat in.
You can make little balloons if you want to do it in the conversation. You can elevate balloons.
Yeah. Yeah, the plastic goes all the way to the bottom, but you can roll up the sides. So during the summer, it would be too hot in there for some things, so you can roll them up so that it gets more ventilation. Yeah.
The various things you talked about, like using the mini greenhouse effect, and that natural light is not always enough.
Yeah.
And also about not using the ground soil.
Yeah.
Was all that specifically for microgreens, or could it be for starting any kind of seed?
I think for starting anything.
Really?
Yeah. At least that's the experience that I had. That being said, it was totally an experimental process, and maybe if you had a great big window like this, you could do better with natural light.
Okay.
So, and then one time I gave this presentation, and this guy was like, oh, like my uncle has this farm and he has this really pure soil, and they could use that even though it's outside. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't see why you shouldn't try it, especially because microgreens take a week, like literally. You can plant them and a week later they'll be ready, so you're really not losing them at all.
You had said in the slide, natural light is sometimes enough in the winter.
Is not enough in the winter, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, in the summer it'll be better because you'll have more time.
And one more question would be, you had shown using like usable yogurt containers or various things. Have you come across any research that talks about leaching from plastic?
I haven't personally. That's a great concern though. Yeah.
Just real quick, I'm curious how big the greenhouses are, like how much square footage that is.
Let's see. I don't have any data on that, but let me see if I can estimate. I would say it's like from here to here, and then to like. Okay. Yeah.
Are they both about that size?
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe it was a little long, but yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering if you do any composting in greenhouses, and if so, what the increase in temperature is about.
We haven't done that. That's a great idea. Yeah. I feel like I had that conversation earlier today with somebody. But that would be great if we could get that going, or even on the outside. That would be a great student research project. But we haven't done it yet. Yeah.
You said the soil pad was kind of expensive and didn't work that well.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're moving away from them? You ruled that they're just not cost effective?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really part of that decision making, but my guess is that's what they're going to do. I think that was pretty much, so there was a new professor, I mentioned that earlier, for the farm class, and she wanted to do that. And I think because it didn't work very well and because they were more expensive, we probably won't do it again.
Yeah. How do you reuse the soil from the seed flask after the week
You
long?
should just put it in the compost and let it kind of go through the cycle
Okay.
again.
Have you done any testing on like the depletion of nutrients after the microgreen and
No.
what gets pulled out?
Yeah, that would be a great thing too. We haven't done anything like that, no. But as far, I usually don't use the soil again. I imagine you could probably get a second crop out of it, but I've never tried it. And my guess would be that the nutrients would be depleted.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So when you make soil blocks, how do you get them to keep their shape?
They just keep their shape because they're so wet.
So you just basically like make a block like with your hand or?
Oh, no,
There's
the block makers. So those block makers up there, you can see like he's putting the block maker into the soil, so it's wet enough that it goes down and it's like this square shape, and it will just take the shape of, it's like a mold, so it'll just take that shape and then you release it into the tray and then let it go, and that's how it keeps the shape. Yeah.
You said you have chicks with new rabbits.
Yeah.
Why do you use rabbits?
Once again, it's a student project, and so there's a professor who is really into rabbits and used to raise rabbits as a kid, and then there's a student who's kind of the same way, so they're planning on doing that this summer. It was kind of a surprise to us too, because it's kind of like, so we have, like I said, the year hours, the undergraduate research opportunities, there's another grant called the Johnson Grant, and people can propose whatever they want, and then that'll get approved or not get approved. So yeah, they kind of just had this idea, and that's why we're going to do it.
So we could
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
Where is the farm in relation to the campus, and how far away is it? We're just wondering what kind of consistent access to the students and how they can make the farm.
Yeah, it's definitely right in the campus. The thing about the University of Minnesota and Twin Cities is there's like 3 separate campuses. So the big one is on the East Bank, and that's kind of where most people are all the time. And then there's another one on the West Bank, and those are both in Minneapolis. And the agricultural campus, which is actually the College of Food, Agriculture, and Natural Resource Sciences, is in St. Paul. So it's farther away. You can get there by free bus, this campus connector bus, but it is farther away than other places, and that's where the farm is. It is right on campus there, but I think the problem that we have had is that people don't immediately know that it's there if they're just a regular undergrad and walking around the normal campus. So, but it's very accessible if you know where it is. Yeah. Yeah.
So a quick question about the soil blocks. After you make them and they're still pretty wet, do you plant the seeds at that point, or do you let it
Yeah.
dry?
You don't let it dry. We always make them, so the lab for the farm class this semester are the people who plant all the seeds, but the service learning students and like me are the ones who make the soil class. So we make them every like Wednesday and Friday morning, and then the students in the lab plant them at like 12:30 in the afternoon. Yeah.
Do you soak your seeds?
Sorry?
Do you soak your seeds before you plant them?
I think we've done it with some seeds in the past, especially with direct seeding. I don't think we've done it with the greenhouse this year, at least. Any other questions? Do you guys, I guess I just have a question for all of you. Do you guys use any season extension methods in your own student farms? I'm curious to just learn more. Yeah.
Yeah, we have high one.
Put one high tunnel, and then we have these like holes you bend and stick them in the soil itself in the ground. It's got the netting that goes over it, and it keeps you frost free for like 2 weeks, kind of into the frost season. So we get usually second or third cut of salad greens that we normally wouldn't be able to get.
So it actually increases the soil temperature just by?
I think it just keeps the frost off.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't actually
Yeah.
draw any extra solar energy in, but it's just some sort of mesh netting.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of half-circle steel poles that we insert into the soil. It's pretty easy to set up and take down. Yeah, electrical conduit, that's what it is. Reman, that's what.
Oh, yeah, I guess we use that too. We have low tunnels,
Yeah.
just by putting reman on, and we usually just do that in the fall to like, if beets or carrots are still in the ground.
Yeah.
We put those on. Yeah,
We have, let's say, cold frames on the
Cool.
roof, from south windows.
yeah,
That's
awesome.
Those are really low maintenance, you just have to air them.
Yeah.
Depending on the temperature, you should
Yeah.
air them once a day, just like that. Those, they're sort of in an experimental phase. We've done one over the winter crop now, and the results have been mixed.
Oh, really?
Depending on really the height of the frame, whether or not depending on where the sun is in the sky. So, really the plants typically planted towards the side of the frame actually get some percentage less light and darker over the wall.
Yeah,
So, I think there may be issues.
yeah,
But they're very cheap.
yeah, especially from salvage windows. Yeah.
People like using saws. So.
What's that?
I said people like using saws.
Yeah, yeah.
My professor has been growing microgreens in his basement, but we're trying to get a growing dome, which is expensive and big. And a lot of people were saying we should just get houses because it kind of accomplishes the same thing, but that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think there's like some grants we can apply for high tunnels too.
Yeah.
I stare, it's like sustainable agriculture. And then like you can like look around your town and see if like people have, like we got some because someone donated it. If you took it down, you could have it. You could like easily pop those frames back into the ground and just get like some free flame lumber or whatever and build a frame. But, I don't know. It was pretty cheap. It was like $600 for 50 foot long.
Yeah.
I know growing off of that, our method of building houses, that's what we do here in Slug. It's 20 by 80 feet and using materials brought in would be like a little less than $1,500. So you can build it pretty economically if you want to.
Cool.
Just, can I ask, what were the delivery costs?
Yeah, the actual metal frame, a lot of people use PVC, but we just use into the soil, and then like lumber, and then like, getting the connectors to roll.
That I could get at the hardware store. I think it's all like electrical hardware.
Any other questions? Well, I think we're